Well, so today marks exactly 146 years since the Battle of Isandlwana, a war that has been known for decades as one of the Zulu nation's greatest conquering moments in the fight against colonialism. Why is it so important to tell the story of Isandlwana? Let's now speak to cultural practitioner, singer and songwriter Mbuso Khoza, who's joining us in studio. A very good morning to you and thank you so much for making time for us.
Baba, thank you.
It's 1879. It is actually a Wednesday, like today is a Wednesday.
Yes.
And there is this battle that is now referred to as the Battle of Isandlwana.
Yes.
But the question is, how did we get here? How did the Zulu nation arrive at that particular point where this battle then ensued?
After the reign of King Shaka, he passed away in 1828. King Dingane took over as a king, and then he had a fight with the Afrikaners. And then later, when King Bande, as a brother before he became a king, he fought with Ulokudinga. He was helped by the Afrikaner. 1856. The battle between two brothers, King Cetshwayo as a prince then with Prince Mbuyazo. When King Bande went to his son and said, hey, go and speak to the English. They will help you. I'll also helped by the Afrikaners who was fighting my brother Mbuyazo, Dingan. Then, that's when Amangisi got hold of us. This was after the Cape Colony. As they came here, they wanted to come up with what you call the Natal Colony. And as you cross the river Uchugela, it's Zululand. So they wanted to devour everything and make it theirs. So now, if you look at 1807, the arrival of the English with the missionaries, when they came here, they came with linguists, they came with architectures, with all Lokozana, what you call basics. Now, they came here meeting up with the Zulus and they are observing. Hey, these people are so rooted in their culture, they love their king. How can we disturb them and get the land? This is why now, if you look at the Battle of Isandlwana, who were the key players? Sir Henry Battle Frere, you have Danford, you have Usomtsewa Sonzica, Usethiefela Shepstein. And now, as they came here, studying us, Usethiefela Shepstein studied Unekola Machiavelli. Unekola Machiavelli says, behave like everyone else behave like everyone else and think like yourself. What they did, Ulokuzana, John Donne, Otatis Tembu, a polygamist, as an Englishman, and all of us said, oh, he's one of us. When we went to the Battle of Isandlwana, he fought on the side of his country. So now, how did we get to the battle? There was a time, to save time for you, there was a time where there were these dialogues. Yeah. Sir Henry Battle Frere says we need to go to the battlefield, and then King Cetshwayo says no, but can't we negotiate? And then they say no. Come a time where Umehloka Zulu, who was a son of Usihaya, overheard that one of his moms in a polygamous marriage is now making tea as a tea girl for the English statesman and probably sleeping with one of them. He took a horse and then tied the woman and then get on a horse and then until the woman was killed. And then come a case now. The British wanna held this with the judicial system of the British, and the Zulus are saying, no, you can't do that. They said, let us sort this out with the battlefield. And then still King Cetshwayo said no. It was until Unjingoyo Maholo, who was a general commander of this battle, who was also a Khoza, led these regiments on the 21st, going to Isandlwana. They say it was over 20,000 regiments. Imagine a 74-year-old man leading these regiments. What were they going to fight for there? They said King Cetshwayo must disband his armies. Yeah. During the preparation of Umqombothi, all the women who got married in a polygamous marriage, they must go home, and one man, one woman. And then they say this preparation of Umqombothi is demonic now. And then now men began to beat up their own women, and they ran to missionary house. This is how now people began to run away from their cultures, because now there's so much confusion. And then they go to the Battle of Isandlwana. Remember, Theophilus Shepstone studied Unicolia Machiavelli. When they got there, it was only 1,200 men against 20,000 men. And why? It is because they say a battle best won is the one that is won with less bloodshed, meaning they did not want to exhaust their resources. They wanted to test us. And in terms of the weaponry, they were so advanced than us, because in 1861, they already had a gun called Martin Henry. That gun was taken to Zurich, to Frederick, who worked on the barrel so that it doesn't oversmoke. And then later it was taken to Henry of Scotland to work on the trigger, so that when it hits the firing pin, it could kill more than one people.
Yeah, and for me, what I find interesting is that you have
Yes.
the British companies. This is now speaking about the army.
Yes.
And they have this Martini Henry, a firearm,
Yes.
right? So you have a modernized version of it, because it has
Yes.
gone through all of the evolutions and fixing it.
Modification,
The modification and some of the issues that have been raised around that. But how is it that the Zulu warriors, the regiments, with only the spears and the shields, were able to defeat them, and using the buffalo horn, horn approach to say, how do we enclose them? And I understand as well that this is something actually that King Shaka came up with.
King Shaka came up with the bull horn.
The bull horn, yes.
Yes. But they shifted it on the battlefield, because I think they knew that maybe they know about this strategy, and then they changed it. But now, because of that, how advanced their weaponry was, they thought they were going to kill us like cockroaches, because they say that Theophilus Shepstone was seen sipping tea under the tree as if he was going to a vacation. Little did they know that they were going to meet. But I think it was the willpower and the unity of purpose that made the Zulus to conquer people who were armed like that. It was also, when you are ready to die for your family, because they say as the rich men left their households, they had to call all of their families and say, in case we do not come back, may you assume positions here to take over. If you are an heir, if you are an old maybe daughter, they take over, because we might not come back. As they were leaving these Lokuzana homes, you would hear the ululation by all the women as they were moving, even if they were moving next to Engutu, heading to Ilokuzana, Isandlwana. There was that, And then those who were married to those Amabuto, they had to wear their izidwaba, like traditional skirts, in reverse, as a sign that we were willing to go for mourning. That's how prepared they were.
I think another aspect to this conversation is sometimes when we look at it, it is black and white.
Yes.
You look at the British Army, and then you look at the regiments, which of course would be black in this particular scenario.
Yes.
But then there's also the Natal native contingent. How did they get involved and were part of the British Army?
They were convinced. They were already given favors. Because Theophilus Shepstone could speak more than 2 African languages. So now he could just manipulate anyone to say, come here, if we take over this land, we will give you maybe more power than what you are. You're not just regiments, you are more than... The proof to that, after the Battle of Isandlwana on the 22nd, they were conquered. And then the mistake Zulus made was to follow them at the Rope Street missionary. And then Zulus, they were killed like cockroaches, because they were trapped even by substances like paraffin, because it was too hot. As they tried to drink this, some died even before they were shot. But later, King Cetshwayo went to meet Queen Victoria. When he came back, they say, Zulus gathered there, singing and waiting, only to find that the English have already convinced uZibhebhu Kamapita, who is now one of the family members of the Mandlakazi regiments, that no, you can be also a king. We can also protect you. And Shepston's brother already divided the Zulu land into 13 regions. People were not Amakhosi, they were called Amaduna, meaning a king is more like a bull in the kraal. And Amaduna, it's more like the young Lokhuzana regiments and the leaders of the king, representing the king in these Izifunda, Amakhosi. But now they were told, no, Usuyinkosi, now we are also have a power like your king. When he came, he was stabbed on his thigh, he ran, and then he had to hide at Inkandla forest where his tomb is. And then Usgananda received him, and then he went to Esho where he was born, and that's where he passed away after the battle. He died a broken man because they poisoned him. And there is a place called the Makosini, it's under Amafa Institute in KZN. That place is where all the Zulu kings are supposed to be buried, like Omalandela or Mnguni or Kume. They're supposed to be there. And now, when he was supposed to be taken there, Osborne Melmoth with his soldiers said, you can never. Until the body, because it was getting worse, they tried to use this traditional Zulu spice for the body to be kept intact, but it could not work. They took him to Enkandla forest. All the regiments who were there in a show, there is even a memorial where he passed away in a show. So I would say King Tsejoyo died a broken man, and maybe the Zulu nation really need to reconsider their stage in terms of where they are going as a Zulu nation. If they fought with the regiments, then the English regiments, can they fight with them with these animal skins? They have advanced now, they have evolved. Have we evolved as a black nation?
What's your reading into it and where the Zulu nation currently finds itself?
They are nowhere, to be honest. Where is their culture? Where is their land? Why are we still practicing the same lobolo dowry payment, exactly how Shepson told us? Why Ubukhosi is not coming up to say...
We need to pause there.
Yes.
Why are you mentioning lobolo specifically?
Lobolo is the one that is busy tearing us down. There are people who can't get married because of how expensive this lobolo is. The transactional aspect of lobolo has taken its toll more than us coming together as a family and shaping the society, but not paying one another. Because
well, we're told that it's our cultural history. So what's your take on that?
For me, it's a scam. You can't, there's no price for a human being. The main purpose for people to come together in marriage is for the purposes of the shaping of the society. If you go back to the human evolution, maybe say 7,000 years ago, people were not the way they are. People were living under the caves even 4 billion years ago. They had to evolve over the years and come up with the ways of living that are a subject to change. But my question is, if in the olden day, even if maybe cultivating, plowing, Lokhuzana tool was used as part of lobolo, then I remember growing up, even an older woman would say, you know, that plowing tool was part of lobolo, you can't leave it like that. But today, we are using money to buy one another in the name of lobolo, and it is in flat contradiction to how emotions and how people chemically get to connect. We should say lobolo is a gesture to say, as a humanity, we can't do as we please, we can't sleep as animals, so this is how we must have an order. This is why we have Inkosi. Inkosi is not someone who's bigger than everyone. Inkosi as a shelter, ukhosela, finding refuge, us saying, hey, we said, this one, he is part of us. Uhlanga is not just a reed, it's a metaphor for ukuhlangana kwabantu.
Oh, that's powerful. That is powerful. Actually, now that you just had that little chant there,
yes,
the significance and the purpose of Ihubo.
Yes.
Speak to us quickly about that, because I understand also that you have your lecture that is coming up.
Yes.
For the 7th time.
Yes, this is the 7th year. Yes. Ihubo is the spice for the battlefield. It is also a prayer for the family. It is also a scroll of the family. Let me give you an example. At home, Khoza, if we sit down and we're about to eat and maybe we're remembering Unchingwayo or Uskonya, we would say, guys, before we eat, let's meet and then sing. And then they would say, Ukhoza kumeteka amkachini usesiphes. This song says Ukhoza and Kumete, they were at space when they began to discover who they are. And if you go to the Zulu nation, King Shaka would say, Undaba ngazidlisa lonke inkomo zamadoda. Umengasla sipha kundaba khethana magwala. King Shaka used to use this song even on his last day before they assassinated him. He composed this song as a composer. They say on the 8th of September he went to his Zulu hut as the Richmonds were inside the Lokuzana, the kraal, and he prayed, and then he went outside the kraal and said, today the impi iyaphuma, and they said, when bring them bayete. Because bayete means bring them, is not saying hail to the king. And what happened there? He was left behind. And he sang this song. Undaba ngazidlis, meaning Undaba, if you check the percentage of how Undaba is used in the Zulu praise singing, from Usenza ngakhona umjokane kaNdaba to uLokhuzana ucetshwayo ujini nomnyama inyathe kaNdaba bathini inzima lemnyama kaNdaba engabende bezingo nengonyama. You find Undaba, even if you get to King Zwelithini mdlokombana kaNdaba vukudla amadoda, Undaba became some sort of a spiritual figure to the Zulu nation. This is why at the olden days, if there was no rain in the Zulu nation, they would go to the mountain and call upon the name of Undaba, and they would find the rain.
Well, incredible. Also highlighting the distortion to our history and how we understand certain words and the meanings behind them, including Bayet as an example. But thank you so much for making time for us. Mbuso Khoza, the musical Isandlwana kicks off today at Joburg Theatre. Is it until the 26th?
Yes.
Until the 26th. So go and learn more about the Zulu nation and especially Isandlwana. The lecture will be taking place at the Joburg Theatre. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
One day.